What happens to Bitcoin after all 21 million are mined? This is a key question that a lot of people have. This article came out in Investopedia. This is a very interesting article because a lot of people wonder what's going to happen with Bitcoin when the miners lose the incentivization or the work ethic to actually check over the blockchain to make sure everything's correct. What's going to happen with Bitcoin at that point? Now, that's about 120 years off, but just the thought of this could have an effect before Bitcoin actually comes to that point. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. But before I go through this, if you get a chance, if you want to legally get your income taxes to zero, how to get a second passport, as quick as 45 days, do 3 things. Hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen right here, and you'll get new videos automatically as they come out. And don't forget to hit that notification bell next to that subscribe button. I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below. And number 3 is go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, if you want to legally get your income taxes to zero or how to get a second passport as quick as 45 days. All right, now, it went on to say in the article that Bitcoin is like digital gold in many ways. Like gold, Bitcoin cannot simply be created arbitrarily. It requires work to be extracted. And while gold must be extracted from the physical earth, Bitcoin must be mined by way of computer means. Now, Bitcoin also has a stipulation set forth in its source code that it must have a limited and finite supply. For this reason, there can only be 21 million Bitcoins ever produced. On average, these Bitcoins are introduced to the Bitcoin supply at fixed rate of 1 block every 10 minutes. In addition, the number of Bitcoins released each of these aforementioned blocks is reduced by 50% every 4 years. Now, these are key takeaways that you need to take in mind, and they are that there are only 21 million Bitcoins that can ever be mined in total. Once Bitcoin miners have unlocked all the Bitcoins, the planet's supply will essentially be tapped out. And then as of February the 24th, 2021, 18.638 million Bitcoins have been mined, which leaves about 2.362 million yet to be introduced into circulation. Now, once all Bitcoin has been mined, the miners will still be incentivized to process transactions with fees. Now, they went on to say that the supply of Bitcoin is limited to 21 million, as I mentioned. In fact, there are only 21 million Bitcoins that can be mined in total. Now, this is the key thing that I'm trying to point out here is that, once the miners have been unlocked, once miners have unlocked the number of Bitcoins, the supply will be exhausted. However, it's possible that Bitcoin's protocol will be changed to allow for larger supply. What will happen when the global supply of Bitcoin reaches its limit? This is the big key that a lot of people are not thinking about. This is the subject of much debate among fans of cryptocurrency. All right, now currently around 18.5 million Bitcoins have been mined. This leaves less than 3 million that have yet to be introduced into circulation. All right, now one important note that you need to think about is while there can only be a maximum of 21 million Bitcoins because people have lost their private keys or have died without leaving their private key instructions to anybody, the actual amount of the available Bitcoins on the circulation could actually be millions less. And I'm going to tell you something, this is the big nightmare that you need to think about. Most people don't realize this, but or maybe they do, but they don't think about it, is a lot of these people getting in Bitcoin are real young people. They're either in their 20s up to maybe 45. There are people my age, 68. I've got clients that are that age that have invested in it. But I'm going to tell you something. It's concentrated mainly in younger people. And what you're going to see is you're going to see these people gradually die off. And you don't see it right now because from the time you're born, the time you hit age 65 years old, 20% of the people that are born in that time period that hit 65 are already dead. Okay, in your 40s, you don't see many people die until later on, but you're going to see vast fortunes lost. Listen to me, folks, vast fortunes lost because people can't get, or their heirs cannot get into their cryptocurrency after they die, either because they didn't tell someone about their password or where it's located, or they just, they dropped the ball. Their fear of someone seizing their assets kept them from telling anybody about where their currency is. Consequently, everything's lost. You're already seeing it, but you're going to see tons of this happen over the next 20 years. And this is probably your biggest problem you're going to see with cryptocurrencies right now. I mean, this is the thing that people say, well, I don't want to have a third party knowing about my information. This is the problem that you have when you don't have a third party, okay, knowing about this. And the key thing too is, what about your spouse? You know, if you don't tell your spouse, can you trust your spouse? If you can't trust your spouse, you don't tell her or tell him, then what's going to happen down the road if no one knows about where your cryptocurrency is? This is probably one of the biggest problems you're going to see down the road with this. But one of the things they talk about here is the Bitcoin mining rewards. All right, now the first 18.5 million Bitcoins have been mined in the 10 years since the initial launch of the Bitcoin network. With only 3 million more coins to go, it might appear like we're in the final stages of Bitcoin mining. This is true, but in a limited sense. While it is true that the large majority of Bitcoins have already been mined, the timeline is more complicated than that. It went on to say that the Bitcoin mining process rewards miners with a chunk of Bitcoin upon successful verification of a block. And this process adapts over time. When Bitcoin first launched, the reward was 50 Bitcoins, and then in 2012, it halved to 25 Bitcoins, and then in 2016, it halved again to 12.5 Bitcoins. And now, as of February 2021, miners gained 6.25 Bitcoins for every new block mined, equal to about 294,168.75 based on February 24, 2001 value. Now, this effectively lowers Bitcoin's inflation rate in half every 4 years. The reward will continue to have every 4 years until the final Bitcoin has been mined. In actuality, the final Bitcoin is unlikely to be mined until around the year 2140, which is roughly about 120 years off. However, it's possible that the Bitcoin network protocol will be changed between now and then. All right, now, these are some things that you really have to think about, folks. In fact, the impact of finite Bitcoin supply on Bitcoin miners needs to be thought about. It may seem that the group of individuals most directly affected by the limit of the Bitcoin supply will be the Bitcoin miners themselves. Some detractors of the protocol claim that miners will be forced away from the block rewards they receive for their work once the Bitcoin supplies reach 21 million in circulation. Now, but even before the last Bitcoin has been produced, miners will likely continue to actively and competitively participate and validate new transactions. The reason is that every Bitcoin transaction has a transaction fee attached to it. Now, these fees, while today represent a few $100s per block, could potentially rise to many thousands of dollars per block, especially as the number of transactions on the blockchain grows and as the price of Bitcoin rises. Ultimately, it will function like a closed economy where transaction fees are assessed much like taxes. Now, there are special considerations you need to think about. It's worth noting that it is projected to take more than 100 years before the Bitcoin network mines its very last token. In actuality, as the year 2140 approaches, miners will likely spend years receiving rewards that are actually just tiny portions of the final Bitcoin to be mined. The dramatic decrease in reward size may mean that the mining process will shift entirely well before the 2140 deadline approaches. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that the Bitcoin network itself is likely to change significantly between now and then, considering how much has actually happened to Bitcoin in just a decade. New protocols, new methods of recording and processing transactions, and any number of other factors may impact the mining process. Now, the latest significant events are the Office of the Controller of the Currency, also called the OCC, later in January 2021, authorizing the use of crypto as a method of payment, PayPal's introduction of Bitcoin, and Tesla's acceptance of Bitcoin to purchase Tesla cars and solar roofs. Tesla reversed course on accepting Bitcoin in May 2021, citing environmental concerns around the resources required to mine Bitcoin. Now, folks, these are things that you're going to have to think about because people are not thinking down the road what's going to happen when this approaches. And most people out there, they would say, well, I'm not going to be alive in 2140. Well, it's not that date you should be thinking about. It's the thought that what's going to happen down the road, and what are people, how their minds are going to change down the road long before that happens. These are key things that you need to think about. Anyway, if you got a question or comment, put it below. Also, I'd like to hear from you. And if you're looking to legally get your income taxes to zero, you want to get a passport as quick as 45 days, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and ask for some help. We deal with over 100 different countries, citizenship by investment, residency by investment, all over the world. If you want new videos as they come out automatically, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen right here, and you get new videos as they come out. And I would like to hear from you, and I'll look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.